Bush School. Mother Nature welcomes you. Join us in a world that's new. Open up your eyes. Bush School. Animals and camouflage. How they breed and feed and thrive. Learn how they survive. Discover the secrets of wildlife. Discover the way to be bush-wise. Bush School.
Today we're going to talk about trees. Now, can anybody tell me some of the uses trees have?
Wood?
Yes, it's used for wood. Very good.
Don't they provide homes for animals like birds who build their nests in them?
Yes.
They provide food?
Good.
Don't they make lovely shade? Leopards might hoist their kill up into the tree to keep it away from other predators.
Yes, to get away from the predators. Now, that's all very good. Have you considered, though, trees also filter the air that we breathe? They pass moisture out into the atmosphere, and in fact, we've come to know they are far more important than we ever imagined. Now, out here in the bush, there are some beautiful species of trees that are literally thousands of years old. Come, let's go and take a closer look.
Trees, like so many things in nature, are the result of competition. At first, plants all grew low down on the ground. But as they began to compete for sunlight, one species evolved a stiff stem to raise it above its rivals. To counter the advantage, another grew an even stronger stem to raise it even higher. So began the race for the sun that resulted in trees in some parts of the world growing to heights of hundreds of meters. Tall trees are beyond the reach of many animals, though the birds' ability to fly make the trees a good habitat to breed and feed in. Some birds, like the woodpeckers, might help the trees by eating the grub of insects that damage them. The skink and the squirrel are both adapted to climbing. Tree squirrels spend much of their lives high in the branches. Many trees, like the acacias, have developed vicious thorns to protect themselves. But this does not stop the giraffe. It has not only evolved a long neck to reach high into the branches, it also has lips and a tongue that enable it to avoid the thorns. Trees provide food in other forms. The Mopani caterpillar is eaten by both birds and humans. The elements play a major part in the life cycle of trees. Fire can kill trees, though many have adapted to become resistant to it. But if the fire is too hot, no tree can withstand it. Gentle rain is a life-giving force to trees, but floods can damage their root systems. This huge leadwood tree was undermined by flood water. High winds can blow trees down, especially species which are not deep-rooted. Elephants kill trees by pushing them over to get at leaves or fruit. However, even in death, the tree has a function. Look how this one is protecting the last few clumps of grass in the drought. This is a seed bank that will regerminate the surrounding areas once the rains come. This tree survived an elephant attack. Although its trunk is bent horizontally, the new branches are already growing vertically. Now the succulent leaves, normally out of reach, are available to the shorter browsers like the kudu and the nyala. The elephant too is an agent for reforestation because in its dung it passes seeds which will soon germinate in the well-manured environment to produce new trees. Trees are sometimes attacked by other trees. This leadwood was over a long period of time throttled by a strangler fig, which now uses its dead victim for support. This epiphyte is the leopard orchid. It uses the tree as a host on which it will grow, but it does not damage it. Some lichens also find trees ideal places to grow. Many trees produce colorful and often sweet-smelling flowers to attract the insects that pollinate them. To distribute their seeds, they enclose them in fruit to be eaten by birds and animals. Numerous trees exude gum. This is eaten by baboons and monkeys. It is also used by local people in the manufacture of ink.
Now we've climbed the fallen tree, we can use it as a vantage point, just like numerous predators do, to get a really good view over the plains.
Trees have many uses. This cheetah uses a tree to look out for game. For the antelope, the trees are a sanctuary where they can hide.
Can any of you tell me what tree this is?
Leadwood.
Yes, and why do you think it is called leadwood?
Because it's wood is as heavy as lead.
That's right. If you put the wood of this tree into water, it'll sink. Now, this tree must be well over 3,000 years old. And even though it's dead, it could stand for another few hundred years. Can you imagine how many droughts, how many fires, how many floods this tree has experienced? When you think of it, how many leopards have used the branches of this tree? How many lions have rested in the shade? How many hornbills have used the little hollows to nest in? When you think that our human lifespan only pans between 60 and 80 years, this tree has lived the equivalent of 50 human lifespans, and that is quite incredible, don't you think?
But trees are much more important than perches for birds or food for giraffes. They help to cool the planet, and at the same time, they play a vital role in keeping our air fit for us to breathe. Animals turn oxygen into carbon dioxide. Plants, especially trees, turn carbon dioxide back into oxygen. This is the cycle that keeps us and all other animals alive. Without it, we would soon choke in an overheated world.
So who would have ever realized or imagined the critical and vital role that trees play in our world? A forest is like the lungs in our body, providing oxygen and regulating temperature. Yet, across the world, we are destroying the forests, cutting it down at a rate of the size of a rugby field every minute, which translates into the size of England every year. We are literally destroying the lungs of the world. And this will have disastrous effects on our fragile planet. And it is you, the children, the next generation, that will be worst affected.
Shani, we got a message for the whole world from us at Bushkul. Don't destroy the lungs of the world. Protect our forests. From Bushkul.
Will you leave us a world where no rhinos run? Will you leave us a world where no whales swim? Will you leave us a world that is scorched by the sun? Will you leave us a world? What kind of world? Will you leave us a world where the forests are gone? Will you leave us a world where no rivers run? Will you leave us a world with 10 billion strong? Will you leave us a world? What kind of world? You can make it a world where the rivers flow clean and wildlife runs free on an earth that is green. Let them know that you care. Be alive, be aware, in a world that together we share. This kind of world, what kind of world? Your kind of world, our kind of world. what's new. Open up your eyes. Bush school, animals in camouflage, how they breed and feed and thrive. Learn how they survive. Discover the secrets of wildlife. Discover the way to be bush-wise. Bush school.
Now, we all know about the powerful predators like the lion and the leopard, but there are lesser predators like the serval and the caracal. Now, it's exactly the same in the bird world. We have seen the powerful martial and crowned eagles. Today, we're going to take a closer look at the lesser birds of prey.
Birds are masters of flight. And of all the many species, the birds of prey, or raptors as they are known, are the athletes of the air. Nature has equipped them with strength, speed, agility, and magnificent eyesight. They're adapted to live and hunt in almost every habitat, from desert to wetland, and from mountain top to coastal shore. The small raptors in particular are important to us because they prey on so many of man's pests.
Today, kids, we're really lucky to be here at ARC with Karen Trendler. Now, you all know what ARC means. It stands for Animal Rehabilitation Center. And Karen's going to tell us a little bit more about the smaller aerial predators. Karen.
Black-shouldered kites, it's interesting to have a look at. The older the bird, the darker ruby red the eyes are. In the one little bird, you can see that the eyes are orange, and in the older bird, they've already gone a ruby red. At birth, the bird is brown in color, and the eyes are sort of pale amber, and then as he gets older, the color changes and he goes progressively to a darker red.
Karen, why are the eyes so big?
The little hawks and the black-shouldered kites are birds of prey. They're predators, and they have to hunt. And when they're flying up in the air, they need the big, broad eyes to be able to pick up the prey.
How far can they see?
If they're hovering up in the air, they can probably see a mouse moving at about 1 kilometer below them. It's an incredible distance.
Why do they hover?
They use hovering as their flying technique, as their hunting technique. And in fact, these little birds are very interesting. They're one of the few birds of prey that have really benefited from man's activities and from the development of agriculture. They use the power lines and the telephone lines to perch on, and they're able to hunt and to hover from those.
The black-shouldered kites specialize in catching small rodents, mainly rats and mice. They have powerful feet, which they use to kill their prey, and they can lift 80% of their own body weight. They use their strong beaks to tear their food apart.
The children asked just now why we cut all the beaks of the birds. These are not cut. This is completely natural. It fits perfectly into the top beak and provides a perfect cutting edge for tearing and cutting their prey.
The yellow-billed kite is a migrant. It flies south of the equator to breed during the southern summer. With graceful, buoyant wing beats and the tail frequently twisting for steering, this bird patrols the veldt looking for food.
This is a yellow-billed kite. You can see the distinctive yellow bill she's about to use to bite. And she has this very beautiful, distinctive tail. See the V in the tail, and in flight, that helps it to maneuver. And if you see a bird in flight and you see that V, you know it's a yellow-billed kite.
It is a very adaptable raptor, feeding on a wide variety of prey, from rodents and small birds to insects, small fish and frogs, which it snatches from just below the surface of the water. Insects are caught with the feet and eaten in flight. It will sometimes land to catch termites as they emerge from their holes. The yellow-billed kite eats almost anything that is available. It is such a scavenger and aerial pirate that it will snatch food from other birds.
This is the steppe buzzard from Russia, and they migrate down to South Africa every year. So once a year they come down to South Africa, and they fly all the way back to Russia. See the lovely mottled colors. And they come all the way down through Africa, through all the countries in Africa. And the sad thing is that they very often get poisoned in South Africa. Because we've got enough money in this country to be able to buy poisons, and they get poisoned by farmers in South Africa.
Eyesight is the most important of the bird of prey's senses. Like all birds and some reptiles, they have a nictating membrane, or extra eyelid, to protect and clean their eyes. The raptors are perfectly adapted to life in the air. On the leading edge of their wings, they have the equivalent of our thumb. It is called the alula, and like the flaps on an aircraft, it helps to smooth out the airflow over the wing. The primary feathers can be splayed out like fingers for maneuverability. The secondary feathers provide the bird with lift. The tail gives it balance and control. One of the larger goshawks is the dark chanting goshawk. This magnificent bird hunts from a perch, looking for prey, and from where it swoops down to catch rodents or insects. Here, a parent gives its kill to a chick. Both parents will feed the youngster. The Lanner falcon prefers open areas. It is capable of spectacular speed.
How does he catch his prey?
These birds are specially designed as hunting machines. She's got these lovely tapered wings. See the beautiful shape of the wing? For flying like that. And then she also has these long, funny-looking claws. They're longer than the other birds of prey's claws. And the speed, plus the long claws, plus these perfectly designed wings, she catches the birds in flight. And it's the impact that actually kills the prey item, not so much the strong claws. This is a young Lanner falcon.
The black sparrow hawk flies silently to pursue prey over open ground. It is capable of overtaking a dove on the wing and hunts prey as big as guinea fowl, which are nearly twice its body weight. As soon as it has caught its prey, it immediately mantles the catch to protect it from other predators. Once it feels safe, it proceeds to pluck out the feathers before starting to feed. Raptors are at the tip of a feeding pyramid, and this makes them vulnerable. The small raptors that eat many insects are particularly susceptible to poisoning by pesticides. Indeed, it was the decline of the birds of prey that first alerted scientists to the dangers of chemicals like DDT.
Today we have seen what magnificent creatures our buzzards, hawks and kites are. Yet more and more, these beautiful birds of prey are being diminished because of the loss of their home range and because of the use of herbicides and pesticides by farmers. Now, they are right at the end of the food chain. And because they have to travel such vast distances in search of food, it's only a matter of time before they come into contact with the poisons that the farmers use. Now, it is our duty as planet managers to try to educate the public, and especially the farmer, as to the hazardous effects that pesticides have on our magnificent birds of prey.
Will you leave us a world where no rhinos run? Will you leave us a world where no whales swim? Will you leave us a world that is scorched by the sun? Will you leave us a world? What kind of world? Will you leave us a world where the forests are gone? Will you leave us a world where no rivers run? Will you leave us a world with 10 billion strong? Will you leave us a world? What kind of world? You can make it a world where the rivers flow clean and wildlife runs free on an earth that is green. Let them know that you care. Be alive, be aware, in a world that together we share. This kind of world, what kind of world? Your kind of world, our kind of world. Push spoon, Mother Nature welcomes you. world that's new. Open up your eyes. Bush School. Animals in camouflage. How they breed and feed and thrive. Learn how they survive. Discover the secrets of wildlife. Discover the way to be bush-wise. Bush School.
We use our hands, and the elephant uses its trunk. Now, what do birds use?
Fanny, they use their beaks.
Good, TD, they use their beaks. Now, some beaks are long, others are short, some are sharp, some are blunt. Some are even used as strainers, others as spoons. Some birds use their beaks for spearing. Now, what other uses do you think birds use their beaks for?
I think it's drinking.
Yes,
I think they use them for grooming.
yes, for grooming.
For making their nest.
Yes, very good, Cece. Now, let's go and take a look at all the different types of birds and their different beaks and what they use them for.
It is almost 180 million years since the birds evolved from their dinosaur ancestors. Today, there are some 9,000 species of birds across the world, and there are almost as many different shapes and sizes of beak. Let's look at the darter, or snake bird. The darter swims underwater and catches its prey between the mandibles, which are barbed to hold the prey. The fish is brought to the surface, tossed in the air, and swallowed head first. No one is quite sure how the grey heron sees the fish in the murky water. But when it does, its elastic neck shoots forward, and the razor-sharp beak snaps closed on the fish. The pelican's bill is long and straight, with a hooked tip. It has an extending throat pouch, and when the bill snaps closed, the fish are trapped in the pouch, while the water escapes out of the sides. The fish eagle makes its catch with its powerful clawed feet. However, once it has caught the fish, its strong curved beak is able to rip it apart. Nobody knows for sure why the open-billed stork's beak is so shaped. In fact, it is something that only develops when the bird matures. One thing is for sure, and that is the bird is able to use its beak to extract mollusks from their shells very efficiently. The pied kingfisher has a membrane which covers the eyes, so it can see the fish as it plunges in. The kingfisher beats the fish to death and softens it before eating it. The lilac-breasted roller uses the same technique to kill an insect. Another member of the family, the hoopoe, uses its long, thin beak to probe for insects. The spoonbills sweep their strange beaks through the water. Tiny sensitive hairs, called lamellae, tell the bird when contact is made with fish, frogs, crabs, or water insects. Ducks use a similar technique as they strain water through their beaks looking for food. The prominent knob on the knob-billed duck is not for feeding, but for display to attract the attention of the females. Using the fine lamellae in its upside-down beak, the flamingos filter microorganisms from the water. Flamingos have an interesting way of feeding their newly hatched chicks. A nutritious milk-like secretion oozes from the outer cells of their beaks. The greenshank has a different method. It runs in the shallows, straining water through its beak as it looks for food. The rare shoebill is a secretive bird found in reed beds. It plunges its head into the shallow water, catching lungfish and baby crocodiles with its powerful beak. Most nightjars catch flying insects, so they have bristles on the top of their beaks to form a basket when the beak is open. The probing beak of the sunbird is perfectly adapted for delicately sipping nectar from the flowers of the aloe. The black-headed oriole and the grey lory, on the other hand, simply pluck the flowers with their beaks. The ibis has a curved beak which probes for insects. Apart from feeding, bills have a host of other purposes. These white storks use their beaks to groom each other, as do the ibis and flamingos. Bills can also determine sexes. If you look carefully below the bill of the male saddle-billed stork, you will see two little wattles. The female has no wattles. Beaks are also used in mating displays. These white storks clap their beaks in a synchronized ritual. The weavers are skilled nest builders. They use their beaks to create neat little nests out of fine strips of grass, rush, sedge and palm leaves.
Who would have thought that beaks were used in so many different ways?
Shani, we've decided to make some beaks of our own.
Bronwyn, that is fantastic. Now, who are you?
I'm a brown-headed parrot and my beak is like a nutcracker.
I'm a grey heron and my beak is for spearing fish.
Very good, Adam.
And I'm a spoonbill and my beak is used for sweeping through the water.
Those are truly fantastic. Well done, all of you. Really well done. Now, why don't we hand them down to the others in the front and let them try them on? Good.
Will you leave us a world where no rhinos run? Will you leave us a world where no whales swim? Will you leave us a world that is scorched by the sun? Will you leave us a world? What kind of world? Will you leave us a world where the forests are gone? Will you leave us a world where no rivers run? Will you leave us a world with 10 billion strong? Will you leave us a world? What kind of world? You can make it a world where the rivers flow clean and wildlife runs free on an earth that is green. Let them know that you care. Be alive, be aware, in a world that together we share. This kind of world, what kind of world? Your kind of world, our kind of world. Bush School, Mother Nature welcomes you. Join up your eyes. Bush school, animals in camouflage, how they breed and feed and thrive. Learn how they survive. Discover the secrets of wildlife. Discover the way to be bush-wise. Bush School.
Today we're going to look at different kinds of birds' nests and what they are made up of. Now, I want you all to go out into the bush and find me one article that a bird would use when building its nest. Okay, off you go, and I'll meet you back here in 5 minutes.
Nests provide a safe shelter for eggs and chicks, and over the ages, nature has devised many ingenious ways to achieve this. Some nests are no more than a hollow in the ground, in which the bird lays well-camouflaged eggs. Others rely on the protection of being surrounded by water. A hollow tree makes a safe nest for some. A mud nest in an out-of-reach place is the answer for other species. Another type of nest is snug and cup-shaped, hidden in the branches. A nest of interwoven fibers at the end of a thin twig is still another way to try to protect the young. Many raptors choose inaccessible sites for their platform nests.
Okay, now, let's see what interesting things you've brought back from the bush. Adam, what have you got for us?
Shani, I've got some string.
String? Now, that's good. They'll probably use that for insulation in the inside of the nest. Bronwyn?
I've got some lichen that birds use as camouflage.
Yes. Now, have any of you ever seen the paradise flycatcher's nest? He uses the lichen as a form of camouflaging his nest. And Boydie, what have you got?
I got some mud that a swallow would use.
Very good, good. And Cece, what have you found?
I found some tinfoil.
That is very good, shiny tinfoil. Now, the hammerkorps we know love to put shiny objects into their nests, as do the ravens and the crows. Teddy, what have you got?
I got sticks.
Sticks, that's a good one. They use sticks to create the outer structure of the nest. And Simon, what have you found?
I found some elephant dung.
That's a good one for insulation and for softening the inside of the nest. Well done, class.
The hammerkorp nest is a veritable fortress. It can be up to 2 meters high with a roof 1 meter thick and a diameter of 30 to 50 centimeters. The nest takes up to 6 months to build. The entry tunnel and inside chamber are lined with mud, and the only way to access it is by flying, because the entrance is placed away from any branches. The male hornbill seals the female inside a hollow tree with mud. He then feeds her through the opening. Once the 2 chicks are hatched, the female, who has molted, regains her feathers, breaks out, and helps the male to feed the chicks until they're large enough to fly.
See, we can see the baby hornbill. Come, let's feed him and see if we can help the mother. Good. We know he eats the grasshoppers. In he goes. Good. Give him the other one. Let him open his mouth. Good.
I'm sorry.
There it goes. Give him another one.
The sunbird collects dead leaves, grass, lichen, and other debris and binds them together with spider web so that the nest looks like that of a communal spider. The lesser striped swallow has found that human dwellings are ideal places to make their mud nests. At the end of the season, they leave the nest to go on their annual migration, but often return to the same site. Other birds that find protection near houses include the blue-gray flycatcher and southern black tit. But the most famous of all for using human dwellings is the barn owl. This female weaves ominously as she protects her young. This one brings a mouse for her young. The paradise flycatcher and chin-spot batis make their nests on inaccessible branches, and then they use lichen from the branches to camouflage them. Because spotted-backed weavers nest in colonies, they attract a lot of attention from predators like snakes. So they build on the end of the flimsiest branches. They will often build around human dwellings or over water for added safety. The male builds 2 or 3 nests for different wives. The female inspects his work, and if she is not impressed, she breaks up the nest and he must rebuild it. Other weavers include the red-headed weaver, the thick-billed weaver, and the white-browed sparrow weaver. The African jacana has the longest toes for its size in the world. It is adapted for walking on lily pads. It even lays its eggs on the lily pads. The eggs are shiny to reflect the heat and weighted so that should anything disturb the water, the eggs will automatically roll into the center of the lily pad. Another nest near to water is that of the flamingos. The nest is a cone of mud with a hollow top. Flamingos are the only bird known to excrete a milk-like substance to feed their chicks. Perhaps the most famous nests of all are those of the legendary white storks. These birds make a 6,000-kilometer journey between Africa and Europe each year. Incredibly, after their long migration, many storks return to nests on roofs of the same houses and churches in the small towns of Europe. The Germans believe that it is good luck to have a stork's nest on the roof, so they go to great lengths to assist them with nesting material and by making their power lines safe for nesting sites.
Now, I'm sure none of us realized how exciting and creative and ingenious so many of the birds' nests were. And I'm also sure that none of us realize how fortunate we are to come back to a warm, safe, secure home at the end of each day. It's a real privilege, because as the planet becomes more overpopulated, thousands of people become homeless across the world.
Will you leave us a world where no rhinos run? Will you leave us a world where no whales swim? Will you leave us a world that is scorched by the sun? Will you leave us a world? What kind of world? Will you leave us a world where the forests are gone? Will you leave us a world where no rivers run? Will you leave us a world with 10 billion strong? Will you leave us a world? What kind of world? You can make it a world where the rivers flow clean and wildlife runs free on an earth that is green. Let them know that you care. Be alive, be aware, in a world that together we share. This kind of world, what kind of world? Your kind of world, our kind of world.
For your litter, please use the dustbin and not our river. There's a solution to pollution. Be responsible for your own litter. Our future is tomorrow's world. Nampak asks you, please, do not litter.